Hey everyone, this is Katie from Create Your Future. I am a certified life coach, a law of attraction coach here, and a meditation teacher. And today I have a success story for you. And it's one that just happened this week. We just got off the client call. And this success story is all about how she went from no contact, a ghosting if you will, I don't want to use that word, but ghosting, to talking every day, hearing I love you, moving forward, getting commitment, getting everything she wanted by doing one thing. And that one thing is inner conversations. So let's talk about her story so you can get some inspiration. And I intend that this is helpful and exactly what you need to hear right now. Okay, so when we first started working together, the guy was gone. There was a ghosting, if you will. There seemed to be some major differences that were pushed out. So it seemed like, it just wasn't gonna work. But my client had that desire. She didn't want to give up on her specific person yet. So we started just plain and simple with inner conversations. We started by creating the intentions about what version she wanted of her person. She wanted her person to be more spiritual. She wanted her person to communicate daily. She wanted her person to not only commit, but be everything that wasn't compatible before in the relationship. Because remember, everyone's you pushed out. So if you have a version of your specific person that isn't totally compatible, it's cool. There's a different version of him or her that totally is. And because you are the only creator and everyone's you pushed out, it's up to you to create the ultimate version. So we focus on that first. Like, okay, here's the ideal version that we want to see get pushed out. Here's the ideal version that we want to have inner conversations with, that we would feel comfortable and happy and secure with. And so it took a few calls of just getting in the rhythm of doing these inner conversations, of believing in this process. And there was actually some time in between that we spoke, just because of busy schedules, things like that. And it sounds like after nothing, right? He started reaching out. He started coming through. And I asked her, I'm like, all right, so what's the one thing that had to happen for you to start getting this constant communication, for him to start coming through, and as the new version, right? Like she said to me, she's like, I know you hear this all the time, but it was a completely different version. And it's like, yes, because they are just you pushed out. If you create a brand new version of your specific person on the inside, that will get pushed out. And so when I asked her, what was the one thing? And she was like, every time I thought of him, I did an inner conversation. That's all you have to do. Every time you think of your person, go into an inner conversation and focus on the version that's inside of you right now, that you want to be with. So she was saying that not only was he constantly contacting her, but he was saying, I love you, right? And he was just talking about the future and doing all the things that she wanted. Again, from someone before that had completely ghosted, right? She got a brand new version just because she committed to the inner version on the inside, because that's all you have to do. Remember, this reality is just your imagination pushed out. That's all it is. So when you start to imagine this new version, when you're committed to the new version on the inside, and you're having these loving inner conversations and you're feeling it real, and of course if you're persisting, right, it takes time to, not always, but in a lot of ways, especially if you have a lot of background with your person, it can take time to really permeate the subconscious. It can take time to really build up this new version, but you'll know it by how you feel. You'll start to feel so confident in this version. You'll start to not need it. That's what every client says that's getting success. I just stopped needing it. No, don't put pressure on yourself to stop needing it. What that actually means is they were doing enough inner conversations, right? That they were feeling the person's presence. So when we stop needing it, it's because we've totally submerged the subconscious in it. You really are starting to feel them every day when you're talking to them. You start to just get that conviction, and that's when you stop needing it. You can't force not needing it. It's just about persisting in the inner conversation, and that will allow you to feel like, oh, this really is mine. They really are just me pushed out. They really are inside me right now, because they're not outside of you. They're with you right now. So the key takeaway from this client was every time she thought of her person, instead of wondering where he was or what he was doing, or instead of judging herself for thinking about this person, she would just simply have an inner conversation about whatever was going on in her life. I always recommend to clients, bring them into your life. What are you doing right now? Oh, you're watching this video? Okay, so watch this video with your inner specific person. Hear them be like, hey, I'm so glad you're working on this relationship. I'm so glad you're becoming a master manifester. I'm so glad that we are learning how to create the best relationship for us. I really like to imagine, which is what's creating reality, that my inner specific person is creating my reality with me. So imagine that your inner specific person is just creating with you right here and right now. What would they say to you right now? Take a breath in. And just imagine, okay, they're watching this with me. They even led me here. They led me to this video. They led me to see this because they want me to manifest them, because what I want wants me. What would they say to you? And then what do you say back to them? You always want to complete the circle, right? So that's upgrading the self-concept. When we respond back, we're really acknowledging like, okay, this person's talking to me. I'm gonna finish the conversation like I would an outer world conversation. And it'll show you too, like, where's your self-concept? Because something that will happen is clients will have the inner specific person say, like, we'll do this in sessions. I'm like, all right, what do they say to you? And their inner specific person is like, I love you so much. Like, I want to be with you. I'm so ready for this commitment. And then their response is, I don't believe you. But you ghosted me, but you left me. Right? It's actually their own self-concept and response that's holding them back. So you actually want to learn what it's like to be the version of you that's like, oh, like, I love that you love me. I love that you're so committed to me. I love that I can trust you, right? You want to work on completing the circle and becoming the version of you that has what you want, because everyone's just you pushed out. They're just you loving you. Okay, if you remember from one of my earlier videos, I said, is the concept like, instead of everyone, just call it every me. Because everyone is just you. They're every me. It's me just loving me. It's me just loving me. I'm just learning how to love myself unconditionally through the eyes of seemingly others, but they're just me loving me. Of course they want me because they're just me wanting me. Of course they want to commit to me because they're just me committed to me. Of course they want to get married to me because they're just me wanting to get married to me. There's no separation. There's no separation. And when that really clicks, and it clicks through these inner conversations, it clicks through you acknowledging that everyone you talk to, even me, right? When you're seeing me, I'm just you pushed out. I'm just you explaining to you what you already know about manifesting. I'm just reminding you. Right? So remind yourself, everyone's just me pushed out. Everyone's every me, okay? It's just my imagination pushed out. There's no free will. So if I imagine it, if I imagine them loving me, it's really just me loving me. It's natural. It's going to happen. And every inner conversation I do is getting pushed out. Every inner conversation I'm having is important. It's valuable. It will get pushed out. So when you're practicing your inner conversations, you hear your inner specific person being like, hey, I love you. I love talking to you every day. I love being around you. And you respond with just, like, I love that you're always with me. I love that you're always communicating with me. I love that you adore me so much. Take that as the real thing. Because it is. The 4D is so real. The 3D is the shadow, right? So when you're doing these inner conversations, like, those are your manifestations. Those feelings that you're getting, that is real. You can trust that. When I advise clients when they go to bed, and if they're doing a 7-day course, they're doing the morning, afternoon, and evening challenge, the meditations, right? And at night, if you do an evening meditation, this is a part of a 7-day challenge that I have. You can go to on the website if you'd like. There's a revision, and that has you go through your day and be like, okay, what did I do from top to bottom? And that's a great way to train your imagination to recall what happened throughout the day, right? And then what are some things I'd like to change? And I always tell clients to include, all right, what did you talk about with your SP all day, with your specific person? Count that as real. Go to bed being like, oh, this is what my SP said to me all day. How cool is that? This is what they did for me. This is what new desires and ideas came through that I know are going to get pushed out. Count those as manifestations. Count those as real. Just love and live in your inner world. Every time you think of your specific person, do an inner conversation with them. And if you repeat that, it is law. It has to get pushed out. So I intend everybody watching commits to every time they think of their specific person, they're going to have a loving conversation. Even if it's as simple as your inner specific person being like, hey, I love you. And you responding, I love you too. It's actually a great mantra that you can just meditate on. Like hearing them say, I love you. You saying back, I love you too. I did that in one of the meditations that's also available online if you'd like to see. part of the irresistible self-concept, we just talked about really feeling what it's like for your specific person to just love you and say I love you over and over, and for you to receive it and circulate that energy. Practice hearing them say I love you and say it back, I love you too. And you can just repeat that, especially if you're in fear, if you're in doubt, just focus on the love. Neville Goddard talks about, you know, the two most transforming emotions are love and hate, or love and war, he talks about. Anger can transform so much, resentment can transform so much, but love can transform so much. And he always talks about, when in doubt, choose love. Do the loving thing. Do the loving thing. So when in doubt, when you're spiraling, just go to those inner conversations of love. Even if it's just, I love you and I love you too. And allow it to transform you. And watch the power of your inner world creating your outer world. Because you're the creator of your reality. Okay, so I intend that was super helpful. If you have questions, comments, be sure to check out the links below for one-on-one coaching. I'm available for that. I also have lots of courses that are online. You can look at the links below. I recommend the Inner Conversation course if you really want to master inner conversations. I recommend my 7-day challenge if you just want to master your inner world and do those meditations. If you're more interested in like group coaching, check out my monthly workshops and my monthly meditation calls. They're both group coaching workshops where either we do a more workshop-based class or we all just meditate together and feel it real. But either way, it's all about bringing you your ideal version of your specific person, because you all deserve to have it. All right. Thank you everyone for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. See you all in the next one.